This is the Amazing Teacher Podcast with Sam Rangel, episode number 10.
Welcome to the Amazing Teacher Podcast, where we sit down with amazing teachers and pick their brains for tips, strategies, and ideas that you can take into your classrooms and be amazing. Now, here's your host, Sam Rangel.
Welcome, amazing teachers, to the 10th episode of the Amazing Teacher Podcast. This is Sam from successintheclassroom.com, and I want to thank you again for stopping by and downloading this episode and listening to this conversation with an amazing teacher. This week I have Lisa Mims from oldschoolteach.com, and she shares some of the amazing things she's doing in her class here in the podcast. I was really impressed by what she's doing with Skype in the classroom. I'm kind of new to Skype. I think I just started Skyping when this podcast started, is the way I communicate with the teachers through Skype, and I didn't know anything. But here I have Lisa Mims, who is using it in the classroom to deliver her lessons, and she's Skyping with other classes around the world, which I think is amazing. And so she talks about that in the podcast. Also, we talk a little bit about Rita Pierson. Rita Pierson, I found her online in one of her TED Talks, and I showed her to my admin team at my school, and it was just inspiring. And so she talks about Rita Pierson, and I'm also going to have a link to Rita Pierson's video on the website. So stop over to theamazingteacher.com, and you can see the video that Rita Pierson made for TED Talks. It's just an inspiring video, and it explains what Lisa here on the podcast is talking about when she mentions the quote, "Every kid needs a champion." Again, a great video for you to watch. So, without further ado, let's get right into the episode with amazing teacher Lisa Mims. Ready? Here we go. Today, I am so happy to have Lisa Mims, who has an amazing blog at oldschoolteach.com. Welcome to the show, Lisa.
Thank you.
Well, again, thank you for taking the time out of your day to sit down and let me pick your brain. I really appreciate you making time for me. I found you on Twitter when you shared your post, all I Want for Christmas, an educator's list. And I thought that was right on the money. Perfect for us teachers. And then I started reading some of your other posts, and I knew that you were someone I had to have on the podcast. The post, especially "Every Kid Needs a Champion," that was inspiring.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Rita Pierson, I saw her TED Talk, and I shared it with my admin team at school, and it was just so inspiring.
Yes.
Then I kept on reading some more of your posts, and I thought, you have it right on the money as far as connecting with kids and making sure that they have a safe place to be. And so I'm really, really grateful that you are here on the podcast sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So before we begin, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your teaching career, how you got into teaching, and maybe why you became a teacher?
Well, I wanted to be a teacher since I was a little girl, playing teacher in the basement. My friend's basement. We had an easel, and we would hold kids hostage while we taught them ABCs, 1, 2, 3, etc. So basically, all my life, I wanted to be a teacher. That was my goal. I became a teacher. I started teaching in New York, Brooklyn, New York, and I taught there for 15 years. I got that assignment. When I got that assignment, I was supposed to be teaching kindergarten, and I had to substitute for a third grade teacher. And it was so weird because the administrators kept walking back and forth past the room. And what I found out was they couldn't understand why the classroom was so quiet, because back then that was the thing.
Right.
You were able to keep the kids quiet. So they ended up giving me the third grade position, and that was 1984. So 1998, I left and moved to Delaware. And that's where I feel like I really began teaching. In New York, it was still the desks in a row, you got the textbook.
Right.
But when I moved to Delaware, it was less classroom management and more where I actually began to feel like a teacher. And then about 2000, I took a technology course, and that just changed everything. the way I interacted with my students in my classroom. In 2010, I started my blog and then started using my Twitter account. And that's where I met my amazing Twitter PLN. And that just completely changed the way that I taught in my classroom. I mean, I've always been a teacher who looked out for the kids and loved them and cared for them, but just the way I taught changed.
Can you give me some examples as far as the technology aspect, how that changed your teaching?
Well, I started integrating technology. With the blog, I started coming across the different tech tools that were available. And I would get them as they came out in beta. So, for instance, Edmodo. Edmodo, got my kids on Edmodo immediately when I learned about it. So I learned about it about 2 years after it came out. Got my kids on that, was able to share videos, they were able to post work, just all the different technology I use, like KidBlog, for instance. So my kids, it's not just writing it on a paper. They now blog, they have their own blog, they share with audiences, and kids all over the world read what they write, which is amazing for them. So they have an authentic audience.
Right.
I mean, these are just little things that I do. It's the same subject, the same curriculum, but integrating technology just changes the way the students are engaged.
That is so cool. The idea of an authentic audience,
Yes.
that just gives a little bit more motivation to the kids to want to do the work. And
A lot.
right, a lot of times kids are saying, "Well, I'm just writing this paper for my teacher."
Right.
So the motivation isn't there for some kids. But if you have that authentic audience, I'm learning more and more that that seems to be one of the greatest motivations that teachers can use for their kids.
It is. And my other huge component is Skype. That's a huge component in my classroom. Through my PLN, I discovered Mystery Skype. Have you heard of Mystery Skype?
No, tell me about that.
So that's when you connect with another class in another state or country, and using yes or no questions, they have to guess where each other's classrooms are located. So we've Skyped with New Zealand, we've Skyped with Ireland. I mean, it's just amazing. And I've also have pen pals from Spain through Skype. Yeah, so we Skyped with our pen pals the day before we left for the holiday. We Skyped with our pen pals in Spain. They actually got a chance to meet each other. That was so cool.
Wow, I've never heard of that before, and I wonder how many of our listeners haven't heard about it either. Again, I'm learning Skype. I'm new to Skype. How has Skype helped your students become more motivated, more engaged?
Well, geography, which we really don't get a chance to touch on as much as we could.
Mm-hmm.
Mystery state or country, it just lends itself to it. So they've learned to ask questions like, are you landlocked? Are you east of the prime meridian? Are you south of the equator? All of these things they've learned to ask either from hearing it from the other students that we're Skyping with or from using the atlas, using Google Earth. They tweet while we're Skyping. So they tweet about what's going on. It's just amazing. And also Skype in the classroom, they offer experts. So we actually had we Skyped with a shark expert.
Wow.
So yeah, it's called Skype in the classroom. So they offer so much.
That is great. That is so cool. I think there are a lot of classrooms out there who just don't have this technology available to them. How did you get it in your classroom?
Well, how we got it is through the district. My district, I have to say my district has been really open to integrating technology in the last few years. As a matter of fact, I was one of the teachers who piloted BYOD,
Mm-hmm.
which is Bring Your Own
Mm-hmm.
Device. Last year, district got forms together, so now they're trying to implement it in other classrooms. Blended learning, where the students can watch videos at home and then come to school. So you're integrating tech and traditional classroom. They've offered so much. And the devices. So in my classroom, I have about 15 Chromebooks.
Wow.
From the district. Yeah, it makes a difference.
Interesting. That is so cool. And with Common Core coming out, it's going to be a lot more deeper instruction, and being able to connect with technology is almost like a natural fit with the new Common Core standards coming out.
Yes, that's a component of it.
Wow. Great advice and great inspiration to just get us started in looking into those avenues if we haven't already. So thank you for that, Lisa. I was reading through your blog and I read one of your posts called Creating a Caring Community in the Classroom, Morning Meetings. I thought that was such a great idea. Can you share a little bit about that with us?
Well, that's part of the program called Responsive Classroom. That's another program that my district uses. And it's funny because when it came out, a lot of us felt like, oh my gosh, here's another new thing that we have to do. I don't want to do this. But I think this is year 3 that we've been using it. And even more so, we're using it correctly because we've had someone come in from Responsive Classroom to really teach us how to use it. And it's amazing. I love the meeting. And like I said in the blog, that's the part I wouldn't give up because it's really helped to create a family in my classroom. And I could see in the way my students treat each other that it has helped. And the things they say to each other during the morning meeting, they're really kind to each other and they care about what's going on in each other's lives.
What grade do you teach, Lisa?
5th grade.
5th grade. Okay. So that's the age where they start picking on each other, maybe pointing out some negative. You talk too much, or you're fat, or you're ugly. That's where it kind of begins. Because I know I get it in 7th and 8th grade, but I think those, based on your blog, those morning meetings may go a long way into kind of reducing those kind of comments.
Exactly, and it's not getting rid of them, and so I'm not saying it never happens in my classroom. Right. It does, but like you said, I think it has reduced what my classroom could possibly be like if I didn't use it.
I think that was a great idea, and I need, again, one of these new I don't want to say program, but a new way of teaching that just can enhance a classroom, and the more we get it out there, the more teachers can take advantage of it and become more successful in their classrooms. So again, if you haven't taken a look at Lisa's blog, you got to stop by and especially take a look at that post about the caring community in the classroom. Great post. The purpose of the podcast, Lisa, is to sit down with amazing teachers like yourself and pick their brains for tips, strategies, and ideas that new teachers can take into their classroom and be amazing. I know in your experience, you've run across many amazing teachers. Can you tell us what are some of the qualities that are common among amazing teachers?
And that wasn't a difficult question because within my PLN on Twitter, I've met so many amazing teachers that have enhanced my teaching. So very first thing that I've noticed about them is that they are passionate. They're extremely passionate about education, about doing what's best for our students. So teaching it to them is not, I go in at such and such time, I come out at this time, and I'm done, like a 9 to 5. This is something that they're involved in all day long. They're lifelong learners, like myself. We continue to learn. It's not, I'm going to pick up a textbook and teach you. We're just out there all the time sharing ideas and trying to get ideas from other people about what it is we can do in our classrooms. And the last thing, to collaborate. We collaborate constantly. I'm part of Fifth Chat, which is every Tuesday, and there's so many different chats out there. As a matter of fact, I have a blog post about that. But I always to Fifth Chat and share with amazing teachers what's going on in my classroom, tech tools I've come across, and they share with me. So they pick up every week, and that's what we do. We just tweet about whatever the topic is.
I think that's so true, that collaboration. I know when I first started teaching, probably you're the same way, it was just us because we're stuck in our classroom. But now with technology, Twitter, you connect with so many other teachers who have the same kind of passion, and long for learning or love for learning that you
Right.
can't help but get better. And
Yes. And that's what I love, that they share that passion. That's what makes it so
mhm,
great.
very true, very, very true. Well, one of the biggest issues that I've come across with the new teachers that check out my blog is classroom management. Classroom management. We talked a little bit about that with the creating the community. What are some tips that you would offer new teachers or even soon-to-be teachers to help them with in the area of classroom management?
Yeah, when I saw that question, I was like, that is always the most difficult. And when you have that discussion with veteran teachers, we always say that you can have the best idea in the world, but if you can't manage the classroom, then it's a
Right.
done deal. So, to me, the most important thing is don't go in thinking that you're going to be their friends or that they're going to love you like they love those teachers on TV where they call you Mrs. M, hey, how you doing? Don't don't put yourself on that level, because once you do that, they're going to treat you as if you're one of their friends. And that seems to be a major problem that I see. There's too many teachers who want to be friends. Now they're going to love you anyway. If you treat them with respect, you have certain expectations for them, and you treat them fairly, because that's important to treat them fairly, then they're going to love you anyway. You don't have to act like an 11-year-old or act like a hip but so be fair, have fun, and be flexible. You definitely have to be able to change what you're doing,
Very true.
especially if you're using technology. Anything could go wrong when you're using technology. So you have to be flexible. You have to have a backup.
So true. I was I had a teacher at my school had this plan for the computer lab, and all of a
Mhm.
sudden the computer server went down, and she was stuck. But this is one of those amazing teachers. She was able to turn things around, head on back to the classroom, and pull out another lesson, and it was fine.
Right.
But I can see new teachers and even some of our veteran teachers just panic
Hmm.
and get totally lost and lose a day. Uh,
Yes.
do you have a favorite quote that has inspired you that you'd like to share with us?
Well, at first it was knowledge is power. That's always been my favorite quote. But ever since Rita, seeing her video, every kid needs a champion. I think I've always believed that. She just put into words what I felt. Every year, well, all our kids, but every year to me, there's always that one kid, that's had it rough for the last 4 years, and I get to be
Right.
their champion. I get to be that teacher for them. So the one I had last year, at the end of the school year, he wrote me a card and it said, I know I got on your nerves, but thank you for sticking by me. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
things like that. They need it. They need a champion. They need somebody to connect
Right.
with them.
Those are those little notes that you keep in your good folder.
Yep.
Yeah, you pull them out when you're feeling down. Just remind you of
Yes,
just what you're doing. That's amazing.
exactly.
Speaking of Rita, I'm gonna add her video onto the bottom of the post when I upload the podcast, just so it just
Yes,
amazing, just to
yes.
remind us of the impact that we have on a kid.
And when I see the video, I was blown away by that video. And it's so funny because my son is 19, and I was writing that blog post, and he watched that video, and he's like, "Ma, yeah, you see that? Every kid needs a champion."
What a
Right?
great impact, and I'm so glad that
Yeah.
she had that video to continue her legacy because she's just one amazing teacher. And
Yes.
again, like I said, I'm gonna add that video to the bottom of the post so that other teachers can take a look at it. Rita Pierson. So, if you don't stop by the post, look up on YouTube Rita Pierson on TED Talks. Take a listen. It's inspiring. You will be inspired. Um,
Amazing.
so, if you could sit down, Lisa, with a new teacher just starting out in their career, and you had time for just one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
I would tell them that teaching is difficult, get a mentor.
Good.
Find someone positive, because that's important. You don't want the miserable negative person. Find someone who's positive, who's going to help you and guide you through the ropes. Because without that, this job it's overwhelming anyway. But imagine if you're new and you don't have anyone to lead you or to guide you or to give you the advice that you need. So it's difficult. Get a mentor.
Very good. Very good. You're talking about that positive. You know, those negative teachers are out there and they're going to come looking for those new teachers.
They do.
They want to find someone to add to their camp. So watch out for them, but latch on to those positive teachers. You can find them. You know who they are. Great advice, Lisa. Great advice.
And they can also go on Twitter. You know, they have NT chat. Go on Twitter, 10 knows.
Very good. Very, very good. So, Lisa, what is happening now in your life that you are excited about?
As far as education, right?
It could be anything, actually.
Well, I'm excited about my blog. I am excited that when I first started, I have no idea why I started. But now here it is the third year, and I'm still writing, and I'm connecting with amazing people such as yourself, and meeting so many different people who have just completely changed the way I teach. And after 29 years of teaching, I could definitely be one of those burned out, miserable people. But instead, I'm excited about going to work every day and trying something new.
That's awesome. Thank you for helping out here on the podcast. I appreciate you spending time with me. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience before we say goodbye?
No, just keep doing what you're doing out there, especially new teachers. Don't give up easily. I know every time you turn around, there's going to be something else that they're throwing at you, but you'll make it through.
Right. Very, very good. Very good. So, Lisa, if people wanted to thank you for sharing all your amazing insights, where can they find you?
They can find me on Twitter at BrightEyes49 and Pinterest.
Okay.
And my Gmail.
I'll add all that to the bottom of the show notes if so people can log on and thank you. Again, Lisa, it's been amazing just talking with you. You definitely are an amazing teacher, and the kids in your classroom are blessed to have you as a teacher. And I look forward to reading more of your blog. Thank you again for sharing your insights with us on the Amazing Teacher Podcast.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
My pleasure. So to the listeners, I know you've received a lot of great information in this episode. Now it's up to you to take it back to your classroom and implement what you learned today. So until next time,
be amazing.
The Amazing Teacher Podcast is brought to you by SuccessInTheClassroom.com. Learn more about being an amazing teacher by visiting SuccessInTheClassroom.com or TheAmazingTeacher.com.